You'll ever be queen?
No, I don't. No.
Why do you think that?
I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts.
Princess Diana would have been 65 years old. She would have been the age of retirement, of grandchildren, of silver hair and a lifetime of battles won. She would have been the grandmother George, Charlotte, and Louis have never met. She would have been sitting somewhere, a garden, a kitchen, a phone call to a child in need, doing what she always did, which was showing up for the people nobody else showed up for. She did not make it to 65. She made it to 36. On what would have been her 65th birthday, the two sons who walked behind her coffin as boys, one now a future king, one a man living across an ocean in complicated exile from the family he was born into, marked the day in ways that could not have been more different from each other. William quietly, with his hands in the work she started, Harry publicly, with questions already circulating about whether his planned visit to her grave is a private moment or something else entirely. This is what that day looked like, and what it tells us about where Diana's legacy actually lives now. The weight of this particular birthday. Not every birthday milestone lands the same way. A 65th birthday is specific. It is the age of retirement, of grandchildren becoming old enough to hold real conversations, of a woman transitioning from the urgency of active campaigning into something more reflective and long-lasting. It is the birthday at which Diana, had she lived, would most likely have been a grandmother, would have been sitting with George, Charlotte, and Louis, would have been teaching them what she taught their father, that the people the world looks past are the people worth seeing. The country has carried that absence quietly for 29 years. And there is something about a round number, a 65th, that makes the calculation sharper. She would have been here. She is not. The gap between those two facts never closes. It just becomes more familiar. William has spent nearly 3 decades learning how to hold that gap in public. How to grieve a mother while being watched by a nation that felt like it had lost her too. How to keep her present for his children without turning her memory into performance. On her 65th birthday, what he chose to do was deeply characteristic of the man he has become. What William did, the Homewards tribute. The day before Diana's birthday, June 30th, 2026, William was in Aberdeen, Scotland, not at a memorial, not at a press conference, not releasing a carefully worded palace statement about what Diana meant to the nation. He was at Langstane Housing Association, one of the 6 flagship locations of Homewards, the homelessness initiative he founded through the Royal Foundation. He was meeting residents. He was talking to support staff. He was helping prepare welcome packages filled with essential items for people moving into new homes. He posted about it on Instagram. The caption read simply, "A home to come back to." On the day before the late Princess of Wales' 65th birthday on July 1, her eldest son highlighted an issue she exposed William and Prince Harry to when they were growing up. This was not accidental timing. According to one royal insider, William's latest work has always been deeply personal for him because it was his mother who first opened his eyes to homelessness as a child. Diana believed every person deserved dignity, compassion, and practical support, and William sees Homewards as a continuation of those values. Marking what would have been her 65th birthday this year by focusing on this cause feels like the most meaningful tribute he could make, and it feels like he is really channeling her spirit with this. Diana transformed public attitudes by treating people experiencing homelessness with warmth and humanity rather than judgment. William has inherited the belief that lasting change comes from listening, bringing people together, and challenging the systems that allow vulnerable people to fall through the cracks. William wants her legacy to be measured not just in memories, but in lives changed. No statement, no ceremony, hands in the work. In Aberdeen, on the day before her birthday, that is a particular kind of tribute, the kind that does not ask anyone to watch. July 1st, William and Charles, together. On Diana's actual birthday, July 1st, William was in Edinburgh with King Charles for the Order of the Thistle service at St. Giles Cathedral, Scotland's highest order of chivalry, a formal, centuries-old ceremony. In Scotland, William carries the title Duke of Rothesay, rather than Prince of Wales. He stood beside his father in a service that had nothing publicly to do with Diana, and everything quietly to do with what she built. Because this is what William's tribute actually looked like. Not a single dramatic gesture, but a sequence of connected choices. The work the day before in Aberdeen, the formal duty on the day itself beside his father, and underneath both of them, the presence of a woman who shaped everything about how William understands service. Diana took her sons to homeless shelters as children. She insisted they see people the establishment preferred to ignore. She believed that showing up, actually showing up, in person, with your hands, was the only honest form of compassion. William was showing up in Aberdeen the day before her birthday, with his hands. Preparing welcome packages. Diana would have understood exactly what he was doing, and why. The children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Throughout the years, the father of three has continued to tell his children about Diana, and George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis have also made cards for their granny on Mother's Day. William has been so committed to Homewards that he has sold magazines to raise funds for the homeless. And just the way his mother's humanitarian work inspired him, he has also introduced his eldest son and future monarch, Prince George, to the Homewards project at Christmas last year. This is the inheritance being passed down. Not the title, not the position, but the way of seeing the world. The understanding that the people the institution prefers to manage from a distance are the people worth getting close to. Charlotte carries Diana's name. She is 11 years old now, old enough to start asking the questions that only a child reaching toward a lost story asks. Old enough to understand that the grandmother she shares a name with was not simply a beautiful woman on magazine covers, but a person who changed what it was possible for a royal to be. William has spoken before about keeping Diana present in his children's lives, about talking about Granny Diana with them, showing them photographs, telling them small, ordinary memories that no biography records. On her 65th birthday, that quiet commitment was visible, not in a press statement, but in the work William was doing in Aberdeen the day before. The work she taught him to do. The work he is teaching George to do now. The grief did not end. It found somewhere new to live. Harry, and the visit that is coming. The contrast between the two sons on their mother's 65th birthday is impossible to ignore. Prince Harry is expected to be in the UK for events related to the one-year countdown to the Invictus Games in Birmingham. And during that visit, he and his two children, Archie and Lilibet, are reportedly planning to visit Diana's grave at Althorpe House in Northamptonshire. There is no confirmation yet of the visit, but Althorpe House will reportedly be closed for 2 days during the time Harry is in the UK, which has led to speculation. Closing Althorpe during its limited public opening season is something that very rarely happens, so it has inevitably attracted attention, a source told Radar Online. Whenever arrangements like this are made, people begin speculating about the reasons behind them, particularly when they involve Harry and his family. There is a genuine feeling among those connected to the estate that this should remain an intensely private moment centered on Diana's memory. Harry has been accused of turning a visit to his mother's grave with his children into a photo opportunity. That accusation sits uncomfortably, because the desire to take your children to their grandmother's grave, to show them where she rests, to say her name in that place, is a genuinely human thing, regardless of who you are or what your relationship with the public has become. But Harry's relationship with privacy is complicated in a specific way. He and Meghan built an entire post-royal career on documenting their private lives for public consumption. The Netflix documentary, the memoir, the interviews, the Instagram updates from what were described as private family moments. When a man who has spent years using his private life as content closes a public estate for 2 days to visit his mother's grave, and the question immediately becomes whether it is private or a photo opportunity, that is not the public being unfair. That is the consequence of a decade of choices about what gets shared and what does not. William's tribute required no one to watch. Harry's presence at Althorpe will not escape attention. Whether it should is a different question. What is clear is that the two brothers have arrived at their mother's 65th birthday from very different directions, and the distance between those directions reflects something real about where each of them is. What 65 actually means. Return to the number. 65. In the ordinary rhythm of a life, 65 is a particular kind of year. It is the grandmother year, the retirement year, the year of looking back at what you built, and understanding that the things you planted are now growing without you needing to tend them every day. Diana never reached it. She was 36 when she died in Paris. She had planted things. In William, in Harry, in the public consciousness, in the causes she championed. that have continued to grow for 29 years without her. George is 12 years old. Charlotte is 11. Louis is 8. They are growing up in a world shaped by a woman they will never meet, carrying her name and her legacy in ways they are only beginning to understand. William is 43. He has spent more years without his mother than he spent with her. The grief has not gone anywhere. It has simply become the thing underneath everything else. The reason he drives to Aberdeen on June 30th to help pack welcome packages for people moving into new homes. The reason he tells his daughter about the grandmother she shares a name with. The reason he keeps showing up to the work, year after year, without needing the cameras to confirm it happened. Diana raised him to feel things openly in a family that often could not. He is raising Charlotte to carry a grandmother she will never meet. That is not a story about a palace or a press release. It is a story about what love does when it has nowhere else to go. It finds the work, and it keeps going. That is July 1st, 2026, Diana's 65th birthday, captured in everything William did the day before it, and everything Harry is expected to do in the days after. Here is what I want to know from you. As Diana's grandchildren grow up, as Charlotte becomes old enough to understand who she was named for, what part of Diana's legacy do you think matters most to carry forward? Drop your honest answer in the comments. This community always has something worth hearing. Subscribe if you are not already. Turn on notifications, because Harry's UK visit is happening this month. The Invictus Countdown, the Althorp question, the meeting with King Charles that has been confirmed, and every development will be covered here with the full sourced account. Thank you for watching.